Aloha, everyone! It's Wednesday, and that means it's News Day. The DAS team has compiled their favorite stories of the week, and today we will take you through the ins and outs of stories like Wild Fusion brings multisense to robots, Microsoft open sources GitHub Copilot and adds Grok 3 access. Oh, and Google I/O just had one or two thoughts to announce as well. It is May 21st, 2025, episode 468, and this is the Daily AI Show. Thank you, everyone, for joining the live stream and to all of you watching later. Today, I'm joined by Beth, Andy, and I'm Jyunmi. If you haven't already, click the bell, like, subscribe, and join the discussion at thedailyAIshow.com. Okay, let us start off with a quick one. Not flooding the news, Apple announced that they are going to release a new set of AI products and frameworks at its WWDC, or Worldwide Developer Conference, in June. And to beat out any of Apple's news in June, Microsoft made some announcements, and Google made a few. All right. Before we dive into some of those, what is everyone's favorite story for today? What do they want to talk about today? Beth?
So, one of the things that I think is interesting is a story that UBS, which is a financial institution, has introduced AI generated avatars of its analysts. So basically, they're deep faking their own analysts to deliver market insights and research to clients. And the reasoning behind it is like there's a push to integrate advanced technologies into more of their operations, but they're designed to provide personalized communication and enhance client engagement because, of course, each of these avatars could be limited to the client's information in the way that a human, right, is not limited. We don't cut off all of our experience to then just have this personalized conversation. But like it matters because it's a significant shift. But for me, it matters because once again, I think what we're looking at is a challenge in um, a world where our clients are having memories of us that we do not have because because we've stepped into this. So in the analysis, in the regular world analysis, what we're looking for is like how clients are using this and their effectiveness in being able to engage with the complex financial information that then is a personalized communication, whether they're more satisfied with that. But what I am looking for is a potential backlash after that. And I don't think we'll hear it right away. I think if there's going to be a backlash, that's going to trickle out. Because I do think at first people are really excited that they don't have to wait in line and they can get personalized answers.
And which analysis company is this again? Is it?
This is UBS.
UBS. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I missed that part.
So
Yeah, I think when you highlight the not having a recollection or memory. Okay.
hey everybody, welcome to things.
I don't know. I don't know who's that was that time. Was that me?
You all froze for me, so I think that was me, but I
Okay.
have no idea why that happened. So, hey.
Hey, welcome back. Just to wrap up what I was saying is I wanted to highlight what you were saying, Beth, um, of the memory issue, right? I think there's going to be there will be an issue with, hey, I had this conversation or I talked about this, and this is not necessarily a new issue, right? The idea of taking whatever you've talked to from that tier one support level, whether it be tech support, customer support, anything like that. And moving it to tier 2 or tier 3, right? Moving it along, that stood and digested by the next level.
Right.
So this may build upon the potential issues there, or hopefully people will get all of their answers at tier 1 and never have to move deeper into the support system.
Right. And the reason for me that this is different is that like it's akin to the email that was sent under your name, right? Or the letter that was sent under your name. Hey, thanks. But we have those experiences where we've written emails and we have no idea. That's gone in our minds now. We're going to have to go review the email and refresh ourselves on what was said. I think memories of my face talking to you is a different thing, right? We didn't go to tier 2. I mean, we went to tier 2, but from my experience, looked just like you. You looked like you were talking to me the first time. Now you're talking to me the second time. I think that's going to be a confusing thing.
So, Andy, what's your favorite story of the day?
Well, I think we're going to end up talking extensively about Google I/O's announcements and what that means in the field of competition for human attention to AI models and AI features. But I wanted to put that in some context with the news item. I think it's a news item, but it's definitely information that comes from Quora. Quora hosts a multi-model chat platform called Poe, and that has the ability to do this. I'm going to share my screen here. Once you get this up on the screen, this is the messages that are sent to the various AI models over time from the beginning of this year until today. Not exactly today. It was during this past week. And what I think is very interesting here is that in the context of Google I/O and the announcements about the comprehensive strategic, fire hose of things that Google is going to present to its customers, it prompted one of the commentators in one of the newsletters I read this morning to say, this is emerging to be basically a competition between OpenAI, ChatGPT, and Google with their Gemini Pro 2.5 and subsequent models. But this little chart that you're looking at has a little different story to tell for the past number of weeks. So what you see here is in blue at the top, you see the Chat GPT models, multiple of them. But importantly, the GPT-4o is the largest segment of that bar. But you see GPT 4.1 coming in as the darker blue. You see how in the last 3 weeks, 4.1 has really taken a strong position in the segments of what ChatGPT offers. Now, those orange bars down below are Anthropic Claude. Those 3 models, led by Claude 3.7 Sonnet in recent weeks, you can see where that darker orange bar came in, right around the beginning of March. Those 3 bars are actually declining in their share on Poe. And the green at the bottom is the Gemini line. The light green was the earliest model, Gemini 1.5. The slightly darker is Gemini 2.0. And the dark green, which in the last 3 weeks has really picked up speed, is the Gemini 2.5 one. And then Grok and others down below, just really not making a difference. So if you think about the AI competition field being, Google, Meta, Microsoft, XAI, or the Grok line from Elon Musk, the real share is in ChatGPT, Anthropic Claude, and declining for Anthropic. But Gemini, I might predict, with what's being offered now, is going to take more and more of this because of the strength of the Gemini 2.5 Pro line of models. So let me stop my share here. I never can see once I do this. How to edit? Oh, there. I have to actually click on the share thing again.
And Andy, could you give us a quick reminder of what Poe is?
Yeah. So Quora is an answer platform powered by humans. You pose a question on Quora, and many people can offer their answers, and they get voted up by the community. And it's on any subject in the world. It's a very interesting platform, Quora. But they offered from the very earliest days a new product called Poe, which basically provided a chatbot interface, but you could select any of the models from among a wide range. You can see the ones that are represented here. It's not all of them, but it includes DeepSeek and almost anyone that you can think of. So it's a way that you can, this graph that I showed you basically shows the preference of Poe users for specific models. Like which models are they choosing when they have a wide range of choices in the same interface. So it's not like it just then shuttles you over to the UI of that product. It keeps you in the Poe world, but you're using an underlying model to generate the answers, and people develop preferences for the quality of the models that they choose, and that's shifting over time.
And I'm assuming you use your API key for the services, or is that something that Poe provides?
No, you pay a subscription to Poe, and you have access to all those models.
Oh,
Poe,
that's a nice shortcut.
Poe functions on credits. So depending on your level of what you're paying for in Poe, you get so many credits for and doing something with 01 would take more credits than doing something with 4.0. Doing something with 2.5 Pro probably takes more credits than doing something with 2.5 Flash.
Gotcha. Okay. Do either of you have another story that you're really raring to talk about? Because otherwise, I have a cluster of some Google I/O that is themed that I definitely want to get to. Because we probably won't get to all of the Google I/O. There's just too many things.
Yeah, let's dive into the very important. Let's see if we can prioritize them in terms of impact.
Okay, so I'm going to prioritize them in terms of impact to me. All right. So these are all going to be the announcements that Google has, or the products that Google's released in terms that are video related. All right. There's many different ones, but I think these are some of the core. Number one, the wildly popular Notebook LM is getting video overviews. So not only can you get your audio overview, your podcast of your information or what points of data that you put in there, but we'll also now start creating visual elements. Now, will that be video clips? Will it take clips from, if you provided video links? Will it be completely AI generative and generate all the video for you? Don't know yet. But the aspect that they're adding a component of video to Notebook LM, to me, it makes a lot of sense, especially if you want to crank out, I don't know, a Saturday show that talks about a conundrum, having an easy visual element to go along with it. Just saying. All right. Beyond that, Google has announced VO3. And from what I've seen of you're pausing? What? I can't hear you. Sorry.
Before we go to VO3, can I just insert about Notebook LM that they're offering it now on mobile? So you can apparently add content directly from the mobile device, and which you couldn't do before. You had to do it in the Notebook LM desktop thing. So that broadens the access to this wildly popular tool that you're referring to.
So we are also likely to do a full show on what Google I/O released. Just keep that in mind, because this is our AI
we won't get
news
to
show.
everything that Google has done. That'll be something else for sure.
Yeah. But Notebook LM also came out for Android. So
yeah. Cool.
And it hadn't been.
And there's actually a few a few Android releases, and based on what I've seen, they were kind of on the DL, so to speak. And yeah, we can go into more of those, but they've released a package of Android releases as well. Not to mention just their XR things, releasing Gemma 3N. So a lot to talk about from each of those things. All right. So now I'm going to talk about VO3. So VO3 is their latest video generating model. All right. From all the demos, looks fantastic. I think will be a huge jump forward because they've also in the video generation side of it, they've also added both sound effects and a dialogue. So those missing elements or things that you would have to add in as a separate process can now be all done within VO3. And they had a nice little demo of it. A very simple and straightforward demo. They didn't try to get too slick or fancy with it. So I'm sure there's going to be limitations of how well that's implemented. But the fact that they're the first generation model to include that as part of the entire generation is, I think, very significant. This will shortcut a lot of that. This will shortcut the production of whatever you're trying to build, and lower the barrier for people to just get, little movies made, and things like that. So you'll probably see it used a lot in the content creation side. Now, to connect with that, they also released Flow. And Flow is essentially it's essentially a storyboard tool, right? Their method is to integrate all of the features that you have seen in the video focused AI sphere. So things from like Runway, LTX, things like that. So you can guide a story from your source images and generate video and these elements. And you can put that all together in the Flow ecosystem. Again, this is all from demos. So we'll see how good they are or how easy people are able to adopt into it or the learning curve to start using it, but exciting as well. It's always good to see where there's different elements of video generation and video production. And that, so Flow probably has sparked the biggest interest, while there are dozens of other things that were announced. That's probably the one thing for me anyways that has sparked the interest. Like, okay, well, is Flow going to change timeline video editing? Is it going to change how to put together a video or a film or anything like that? And with the announcement that Google has pushed video production or AI video production forward by funding companies like Promise, which has made deals with some of the Hollywood studio system to start consistently generating AI elements to it. And I believe there's a few movies coming out. So all of the hopes and nightmares that people have seen about AI generated video, film, and things like that is starting to happen. So if you haven't been paying attention and it's important to you, make sure to keep an eye on it, because we're not sure. It's like just any avalanche. It starts off slow and will pick up pace rather quickly.
A quick adjacent point about Google's image and video. They have an image generating model called Imagen 3 that has been one of the strongest performers out there and taking a substantial, largest market share on the Poe sort of leaderboard, if you will. And they, as part of this week, are releasing Imagen 4. So blasting past that. Now, I was not aware that ChatGPT had offered a new image generation model called Image One. That's just in the last last month apparently somewhere. So I missed that news somehow. But ChatGPT is offering an image specific model that competes with Imagen and Flux and Stable Diffusion and others like that.
But API, or is
I don't.
that,
It's available on Poe, so I don't.
that's
I
API.
believe Image One is
API.
API. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It came around the same time as they showed the new image generation for 4.0. So,
okay, cool. So this got buried in the flood of all of the other things, but AI Studio, right before they had IO, they added a create generative media dashboard to AI Studio. So AI Studio now has for free, as far as I can see, it's free. I don't know what the limits are. Doesn't look like it says what they are, but Imagen 3, VO2, there's a Gemini speech generation, and a Lyra real-time, interactively create, control, and perform music in the moment. So the things that were like, oh my God, they were the best, and you needed to like subscribe to do them, that's actually a much higher subscription level now, and these that were the best are now for your pleasure use on AI Studio. AI Studio also got a facelift, so it's not all the chat. There are different dashboards for entering different features within this. So,
and I think it is important to highlight before we move off of Google stuff is the two tiers of Google Access, right? So they're renaming Google Advance into was it Google Plus
Ultra?
Pro? Yeah.
it's Ultra is not advanced.
No,
Ultra is the
Ultra is
Ultra.
the super high one, but the $20 one, which is Google Advanced, that was renamed, and the Ultra is the get access to everything. And so while I don't think they know, I wasn't there to watch through everything that they talked about there, but I did see a screenshot of what listed. And apparently all the fun new stuff, that's only on Ultra, and Ultra's $250 a month. So
although you can get for $125 a month your first 3 months.
Yeah.
And it's like, thank
so,
you.
But
yeah, I have an issue with that, and we can go into more of that. Of what were you saying, Andy?
I was going to say, but you can get something very, very powerful from Google for free right now. So I've been doing vibe coding using lovable.dev and replit.com. And one of the things that becomes really frustrating about those is that those models are using the models that are being used as the agentic coding assistants in those platforms, which provide a bunch of other stuff, including full integrations with database and deployment. Like you can basically do one-click deployment, probably through Netlify in both cases. What Google just opened as available to everyone for free, try it now, is their Jules coding agent, an asynchronous agent, meaning you can give it a task and it's going to go off and spend as much time as it needs to in order to generate the responses needed to do that. And it uses Gemini 2.5 Pro as its reasoning model for the coding, agentic coding capability. It works on real code bases, so it doesn't need to be working in a sandbox. It takes the full context of your existing project through an integration with GitHub. So you just point it at your GitHub repo or import that. I'm not sure how it actually works because I haven't tried it yet, but I've been pining for something like 2.5 Pro, which I use as an advisor when I'm working with lovable.dev. I've mentioned this, I think, maybe not on the show, but with my colleagues here. And so I've been waiting for somebody to put forward a full no code, vibe coding platform that uses Gemini 2.5 Pro. Why? Because the dialogue you have with that particular model is so much more sophisticated than with any of the other agents I've played with. So, and it's, by the way, at the top, they've also added a new level of reasoning that can be used within 2.5 Pro. It's called Deep Think, Google's Deep Think. It's enhanced reasoning for 2.5 Pro that makes it top the live code bench leaderboard immediately. Okay, so that just came out. Well, anyway, so back to Jules. You can play with Jules. I'm not sure that it's as no code as I need it to be, because, while I have a GitHub repo for my work, I don't work using GitHub. I'm not a programmer per se, but it provides for the user to be able to modify modify the presented plan that Google's agent comes back with. During, you can redirect it, and after execution. And the beauty of the use of the Gemini models is that they have either 1 or 2 million context windows, 2 million token context windows, which means that you can give it your entire code base. It's going to keep that in memory. It understands all of the interrelationships and complexities because it's sifted through it all and understands it totally. Whereas you really have to, with the other no coding or low coding platforms, you really have to narrowly define the task that you want the agent to do because it can't comprehend everything at the same time. Gemini is changing that. Jules is probably going to be my go-to eventually if it gets plugged into, or I discover that I can use it that way. So that's really cool. And then I'm just going to throw in another Google cool thing, which is Google Meet. So if you ever wanted to get a transcription of a meeting, like if you have a workspace account, you can use Google Meet and just say, create a transcript when you start the meeting. Like, not just record it, you record the meeting, but you also say, create a transcript. And in real time, it generates the transcript with very high accuracy. Now it's offering real-time speech translation in the Meet. This is a major breakthrough. So imagine being able to have a meet with another a person, from a company that you want to do some business with, but you don't have a translator in the meeting. Well, Google Meet will now translate for you both in real time.
So one of the things that I think is really interesting about this is this feels a little like throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. But we're going to be unpacking what has been released and how people use it and what it means and all that stuff for a pretty long time. It feels like I think there's a limit to how much you can throw at the wall and see what sticks in a way that gives you information about what is interesting to people versus like, it's a lot of spaghetti and I caught this one, right? Because I don't know. I feel like there's so much in this that's really interesting and good, but I feel like I did not know that there was a maximum of free stuff at which I would be like, no, 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 no. So,
well, I think it's definitely Google saw a great response from their last media blast event, right? And people were like, finally, Google's back. And so they're like, okay, well, that worked. Let's try that again. So essentially what they do is they just open up Google Labs and dump everything out. And now we have all the things from Google Labs. Without, I know we want to go on to other stories because we don't want to make this the Google show, but just one last thing is the tiered thing. I think they're definitely they're taking a page out of the OpenAI playbook with this one, and this is sort of the test of whether or not people really want this. But I did notice something that didn't quite make sense. You get YouTube Premium. Not sure why that was added on, though. If everybody gets Gemini Ultra, that does make the subscription or sales numbers for YouTube Premium go up. So maybe that's why it's there. But
Okay,
okay.
we can't go past the one last thing, the really one last thing that Google laid out there for us. You know, augmented reality or extended reality using glasses is the big thing going forward. Glasses are really, there's a whole field of competition out there. You've probably seen in your social media feeds advertisements for new glasses coming out all the time. The one major player thus far has been Meta, and they have their Ray-Ban, Meta AI enabled glasses. And many, many users are using that. Like, the others are just trying to enter the market. But Google announced Android XR, smart glasses integrating Gemini AI with real-time vision analysis, translation, contextual assistance through those AR glasses. And they have 3 different layers of their plans for these glasses. The first one is a mixed reality headset they're building with Samsung for really sort of Vision Pro level capabilities in XR. And then Project Aura is a developer-focused prototype with a company called XReal, which is, I guess, building the actual frames. And then consumer AI glasses with Warby Parker. Now, lots of people buy their glasses from Warby Parker. Warby Parker is going to offer an XR competitor to Meta Ray-Ban.
All very expensive eyeglass brands.
Oh, no. Ray-Ban may be expensive, but Warby Parker entered the market as a low-cost alternative to the
last time I was in their store, the only things I saw on their shelves were hundreds of dollars. So I don't know, maybe they have an economy line or something like that, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, Beth, take us away from Google so that we can cover other news of the world.
All right. I feel like we need a AI in space. China begins assembling their orbital AI supercomputer network. China has launched the first 12 satellites of a planned 2,800 satellite constellation known as Three-Body Computing Constellation. So it's the initial phase, and it is designed as an orbital supercomputer network. So yeah, it matters because this is a significant leap in space-based computing. So in the same way that satellite technology gives us immediate GPS coordinate information, this could allow for immediate data processing in the same way, and reducing reliance on ground stations and all of the like. And it positions China at the forefront of this space-based integration.
Did it mention anything about how they're reducing latency and all that?
It does not say.
Okay.
This is like the first announcement of, hey, they launched the satellites.
Gotcha.
So yes, and Cisco's like, no way, Three-Body, yes. Okay. So that the Three-Body computing constellation.
Okay.
And the latency will be interesting, but we don't have significant latency with GPS. Not that that's that the amount of data passing between my phone and the GPS satellite is comparable to any AI thing, but
yeah, I'm wondering if it's more just the compute. So they're only going to be sending up data that needs big compute to process and then send back down, and that's probably all laser communication anyways. But yeah, no, that is very interesting, and props to them to lean into one of the more well-known IPs that comes out of China. Three body problem, like Cisco mentioned.
Right.
But and I'm sure it actually has to do with the scientific premise of the three body problem as
Oh,
well.
no. I'm wrong. There
Oh.
is some information. So collectively, the 12 satellites achieve a processing power of 5 peta operations per second, so pops, and their goal is 1,000 pops upon full deployment. And they communicate via laser links at speeds up to 100 gigabytes per second.
Oh, wow.
And share 30 terabytes of storage. So it is designed to enable like real-time in-orbit data processing. And this, they've been at the forefront of using light, right? Using light as a communication medium, the light-based chips. I'm saying that all wrong. Andy may come in and correct me with the actual words, or not. But there are scientific instruments on board, include an X-ray polarization detector for observing cosmic phenomena like gamma ray bursts as well. So it seems like it's designed to facilitate Earth-based communication, but also has some space focus, if I'm understanding that correctly.
Nice. Well, Beth, since you've opened up science, I think it's time for AI and science. All right. So I got a couple of AI and science stories as well. So we will weave from AI in space to our favorite AI in science, or at least the most popular one that seems to be coming down, is embodied AI, or AKA robots. So humans have these wonderful senses that our sensors, whether it be sight, hearing, touch, all of that sort of gets processed all at the same time in our minds and can create a cohesive or multi-sensory experience, right? And that gets processed, and we then make decisions based upon those inputs. Robots don't actually do that for the most case. All right, they have their sensors and they read their sensor data. Then the sensor data is then applied to whatever AI is processing, and you have these different inputs, and they're all processed individually. Well, the folks at Duke University has come up with a new framework that they're calling Wild Fusion. If you're familiar with Bill and Ted, it's like Wild Stallions, but Wild Fusion. Okay, cool. Moving on. So Wild Fusion fuses vision, vibration, and touch to give robots a multi-sense or multi-sensory capability. So all of that data is put together and processed at one time and provide a new way, a new framework, a new way to process the information. So a new way, or a new type of sense. So it's got vibration in there, and touch, and vision. So they can kind of feel their way through their environment, which they hope will enable robots to to navigate more dangerous environments or more precarious environments. This is more for the industrial and first response kind of capabilities and stuff like that. So there's always a lot of movement and progress in those spaces, because you want to mitigate the amount of direct harm or danger to a human being. So that's what Wild Fusion is. It's supposed to have this framework that can merge these senses together. So right now it's in the research phase. They're announcing it at or they announced it at the IEEE conference during these next few days, and so we will see how that gets implemented along the way. And so maybe we'll just have maybe there'll be new multi-senses created out of combinations of things and generate additional data that may not have or be able to compute surroundings much better than they have been at this point in time. The other AI and science story I have, which I think is going to really help how robots are how they act within any environment, especially working with humans, but also if humans need to use the robot for anything, right? So we talk about robots as autonomous robots, but sometimes humans need to be behind the wheel, so to speak, of these robots. And one of those things that will really help that understanding and interaction point, and we've talked about this, whether it is being able to have sensors for touch sensors, pressure sensors. We're talking about like development on gripping technology and things like that. Well, this is from the Pohang University of Science and Technology, the remotely controlled robots at your fingertips, enhancing safety in industrial sites. So the idea here is they've created haptic feedback system that a user can use when operating equipment or robots, and robots can then if they're autonomous, they can use this haptic feedback system to give them more response when they're doing stuff. So this was experimented or studied in the industrial sense, so that think of a crane, right? So a crane operator moves the crane over, picks something up, moves it over to something else, right? Now, it takes a lot for that crane operator to understand how much they need to close the crane arm without breaking the thing that they're trying to move. How much can it grip so that when it lifts it up and moves it around, it doesn't, it slips out of their fingers, things like that. But with this haptic feedback, the operator can feel how much pressure is needed, and all of those different axes or axes. So that when the crane grips the object, they can feel the response of how much pressure they're actually putting on the object. So this should increase safety and all of those things that are tied to that in the operation of these things. And then that should translate to autonomous robots when they're going through the process as well. So 2 robots, AI inside stories, but as we're seeing every week, there's always some new advancement. And when we get to see it in the real world, hopefully that'll be a very quick turnaround. Okay, so who's got another story? Preferably not.
Something we can't really ignore is that Microsoft exists. And right now, like parallel with Google I/O, they're having their developer conference called Microsoft Build. And the news that comes out of that conference, there's a couple of things that are of interest generally to the public, but more importantly for developers. It's Microsoft's focus on the world of agents. And so they dropped a number of things that are available now to the developer community and Microsoft Office 365 subscribers. One of them is called Magentic UI. It's an open source research prototype for human-in-the-loop web agents focused on user collaboration and control. So their vision of this future of agentic AI is collaborative co-intelligence, right, with humans interacting with this. And the Magentic UI, I don't even know what it is, but it's apparently a user interface that is designed and built for you as an operator to work with multiple agents simultaneously and have them doing work for you. So that's an interesting development. They also offered a new thing called NL Web, which they say is like HTML for the agentic web. So this is a communications protocol, basically, for interactions across different agents. But they said specifically that it makes it easier to add conversational UI to websites powered by agents behind the scenes. Now, importantly, in the world of science, there's increasing evidence that very powerful language models can do research and discover new things. And we can do a whole show on the major advances in science that have been accomplished by AI already. Well, they now offer a product called Discovery. And Discovery is an AI agent and graph-based knowledge system that helps researchers form hypotheses, simulate experiments in the digital realm, and analyze results. And they showcased its power by discovering a new non-PFAS, the dangerous, plastic chemical, the never-ending, plastic that's unresolvable,
forever chemicals. Yeah,
the forever chemical. So they've discovered a novel non-PFAS data center coolant that is, they had it in just 200 hours, a task that usually would take months or many years. And now big companies like Estee Lauder, NVIDIA, and Synopsys are integrating Discovery into their R&D for everything from pharma to chip design to I guess for Estee Lauder cosmetics. So now there is one other change which needs to be mentioned about Microsoft, which is that we've often been lampooning the difficulty of working with Microsoft Copilot, and we've tried, but we gave it up early on. And Karl, our colleague, has been a major detractor for the difficulties somehow imposed by what should be as easy a user interface and a method of using Copilot as the underlying ChatGPT models are that Microsoft exploits in their systems. Well, they provided a massive update to Microsoft 365 Copilot that is all about multi-agent orchestration and also fine-tuning the underlying models using your own data. So all of that together, plus some plug and play specific sort of domain focused agents as AI helpers in the enterprise, those things are going to hopefully make the Microsoft shops that are out there in enterprise happier with their Microsoft Copilot implementations.
Yeah. I mean, that's great news to hear, because I know it's been a problem for all of us, and I kind of share Karl's frustrations of Microsoft has never been easy. The Microsoft ecosystem has never been easy for implementation. So seeing advancements on the agentic side, hopefully will improve those experiences. Now, not Microsoft Copilot, but GitHub Copilot. GitHub's owned by Microsoft now. They are open sourcing GitHub Copilot in their Visual Studio Code. All right, tongue twister. And so that anytime anything's moved into open source, it's usually a good thing because it allows more people to build off of it and expand on it. And you have so many eyeballs on it, recognizing potential issues, doing fixes, and all of those kinds of things. So that's, I think, a good general news, and getting that to be more adopted in use is a good thing as well. The other thing, sort of related to that, is Microsoft has opened up Grok 3 and Grok 3 Mini as part of its development platform.
So
So having access to those models within their AI development platform. So I don't know what that implementation is really going to look like, but there's a couple reasons people are making guesses as why they moved in this direction, whether it's going to conflict with OpenAI, or whether there is a conflict. I believe Microsoft has an open-ended, we can do whatever we want with our investment in OpenAI, the results of that. And this could also be a way to smooth things over with Elon Musk directly. Not exactly sure. But having additional resources is usually a good thing in terms, especially if you're going to try to compare them and see how much you want to implement them overall in whatever project you're building.
did they
But we'll
already
see what
have
happens.
did they already have like all of the other models? So Grok is
No,
the
it was specifically OpenAI only. Now they're adding Grok.
okay.
Yeah.
That does seem to be like, hey, no big deal. We just also invited your arch nemesis, right? Like
Well, I mean, there's been talk and guessing about if there is or isn't a strained relationship between Microsoft and
yes.
OpenAI because of the whole trying to switch their business model, and now they're trying to go for the public benefit model for their corporate side. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of back and forth, and it's probably all just okay, what's going to save us the most headache and still make us the most money. So, I mean, those are usually the guiding factors for
That's true.
dealing with this kind of this level, anyways.
But it's a developer environment. So the fact that Anthropic is missing in it seems like that might be also a move if you weren't trying to just get some heat going between your two situations
Sure,
there.
sure. And they may just add Claude in there after the dust settles. It's like, oh yeah, now we're just going to throw in another one. We're
Right.
distancing our direct relationship with OpenAI and making it a wider field. We don't play favorites. That's probably what it's going to come down to. So yeah,
So
we'll see.
So I have another thing that actually weaves off of Andy's Microsoft Discover. MIT retracted an AI productivity study over data integrity concerns. So the story is MIT has withdrawn its support for a widely circulated AI research paper by a doctoral student who's no longer at MIT, and it claimed that AI tools significantly boosted scientific productivity in a materials science lab. So the paper itself reported a 44% increase in discoveries and a 39% rise in patent filings due to AI assistance, but also noted decreased job satisfaction. There were concerns that were raised by a bunch of experts in terms of in terms of the provenance and reliability or validity of the data. So
So
MIT conducted an internal review, and so now they're removing their support of this paper, and they've requested the paper's removal from the preprint server archive, which is where it was published, and that's where other people got to read it, and that's the source of the hey, wait a second, everybody, this doesn't seem like it's good research. Like there's significant things missing in this. So what I think, the reason that I think this is a really interesting thing is that this highlights the idea for me that AI, we talked recently about AI hallucinating research, right? Like, and the problem that that creates for people who are using it. Now we're moving into a system where the AI data is correct this is research, but it's been invalidated. And we've had conversations about how AIs correct their data, and that hasn't been something that has been reliably worked out. You can do some of the stuff, right? Like Golden Bridge Claude is one of those examples. There's been some other studies that showed us the ability to remove data from a piece of a specific large language model. But this is stuff that was cited in a bunch of papers, right? So this is something that is just spread out. And I really am curious to how this information that is probable but not accurate. There's a new probability that says that this is not accurate, right? I'm thinking that this is going to have legs, and I think we're going to see that the paper is going to still be cited because it's cited in other papers that cited it as a valid study. I think this will have a hard time being removed from the information that is relied on when AI generates answers.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a larger discussion in information retrieval in that sense. I believe this is the same story that I was following, and definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a point of clarification on a couple things is, number one, the student that right, there's a PhD student or a postdoctorate student, right? They the MIT call for Arvix to like remove it, that they can't. This is something new, right? Because Arvix doesn't allow you to only the user who submits it can remove it. But that's only a smaller part of the larger story, and the larger story is that number one, people need to remind themselves that Arvix is not a peer-reviewed journal.
No, it's preprint.
Yeah, it's just a place for you to submit your paper so that it is available for people to draw upon. Now, I don't know if the student also submitted for peer review to be published, right? So apparently it's only published if it is peer reviewed in a journal. And that's a whole academia researcher thing. And so MIT had to make the request of both the student, and then when the student said they didn't, or I don't know whether they said not, they didn't want to, or they just didn't get around to doing it, but then they had to make the request of Arvix to try and remove it, and that's usually not a process they go through.
It was.
I want to throw in I have to correct it. It's archive. It's the ARX.
Oh yes, archive. You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, it's just spelled with an X. That's what gets me off of that. You're right.
Which is the Greek letter chi, which is pronounced like K.
Okay. Yeah.
It was also submitted to the Quarterly Journal of Economics, so it was submitted to a.
Oh, okay. So paper. It wasn't all right. That it wasn't much about. But yes, I think I agree with you that there definitely has to be analysis of how that process of at what point do we have a mechanism to flag that and to remove that, or to is there new data that has to be added because it's data that's trained potentially, right? There's always every few months. So if there is a what's the, not recall, I forget what the word is, where you're saying, no, we take it back. I forget what the word is, right? But when you're saying as a publication or as a source of this information, this is a retraction. That's the word. When there's a retraction made, now how does that process work so that when the data is then brought into an LLM, it can know that a retraction was made? Is there
Right.
a way of tying that together, or is there a mandatory process that will say, oh, this information exists in a bunch of different places, but there was a retraction made? So yeah, I think that data cleaning, right, or data modifying is, I don't know if that is there a process? How big of an issue will that be? Will the large once a statement's made about something, is it now pervasive, or do you need to have so many instances of that incorrect information before it becomes an issue?
Right. Well, if we go back to previous conversations this week, and I wasn't on Monday's show, so it must have been yesterday. If we go back to previous conversations, are we were saying that the way that hallucinations get solved are agents, that you have a series of agents that double check that. So now and then I guess you have the idea is that you'll have if you have multiple agents looking at it to try to verify it, then that is something that like majority of agents would say, okay, that's a hallucination, that's not what it's supposed to be. This, I think, means that you also in that mix have a special agent. It's not just that author doesn't exist with that title. There got to be a special agent that is also looking for anything that seems like a retraction, right? And that agent also will need to be able to distinguish between you should retract this and we are retracting this, right? Like I think there's a bunch of like things are getting messy. And I think this is this is a sign to watch for about how the mess is being handled, because this is such a frequently cited research paper. So.
Yeah. No. Okay. Well, we definitely pushed the time on that last bit of discussion. I hope we didn't lose some of you there. There is always more news than we can possibly cover in the hour that we allocate. So please come back to us through the next few days. I know we've got a show for Thursday. We got our Be About It on Friday, and hopefully sometime either this week or next week we'll probably have a full Google I/O show, or at least discuss it throughout there. There's just so much that came out, just kind of impossible to just focus on that and not cover anything else. All right, so we will wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for all of those who stuck it out with us through this huge news session. And thank you everybody for joining the chat. Thank you everybody who's going to watch this later. Please join us tomorrow. We're here Monday through Friday, and 7 a.m. Pacific for those on the Best Coast. All right. And don't forget that we've got the conundrums on Saturday. If you want to know what's going on and go into a little deeper dive, there is our newsletter that comes out every Sunday, and you can sign up for that at thedailyAIshow.com. And always continue the conversation in our Daily AI Show community.com, which will lead you to signing up to our Slack channel to talk more and more about AI, because we love it. We know that you love it. So join us and we'll continue the conversation. All right. That's everything for today. Aloha.